Welcome back to the No Money Real Estate Podcast, friends. This is Ken Dunn, and I've got a really exciting conversation to have with you today. I've looked back at the first 200 episodes of the No Money Real Estate Podcast, and I've analyzed every conversation we've ever had, and I came up with 4 major ways that you can earn life-changing income in real estate, and we're going to get into it after this.
Hey, my name's Ken Dunn, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America, and I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They build their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started.
Yeah, you know what? It's been amazing. And first, I want to say thank you to all the guests and all the people that we've had listening to the show over the first 2 seasons. It's been unbelievable. We've had a lot of fun producing this podcast, and we have some really loyal followers. Our YouTube channel has grown to 24,000 people in the last 2 years, and we get tons of amazing feedback about the show. And our podcasts is available on all major podcast sites. We have tens of thousands of listeners that listen to the podcast regularly. And, you know, the bottom line is anybody who's doing real estate that's doing it well, that's doing it at the highest levels, they all do it with a no money approach to doing the deals. And what I mean by that is they don't use any of their own money. Now, for those that are just hearing me for the first time or just watching this for the first time, let's break that down a little bit and help you to understand what that actually means. It means exactly what I'm saying. They don't use any of their own money to do the deal. But a lot of you that are just hearing me talk for the first time, you're asking yourselves right now, how the hell do you do that? Like, how does that work? So let me break this down for you. In every real estate deal that a real estate investor does, there's probably one word that's more important than any other word that defines success in a real estate deal. And it's the word lift. Now, what lift means, when you acquire a property, when you buy any type of property, you only want to buy properties that you can radically increase the value of. And there's lots of ways to do it. If you buy an apartment building, you can buy an apartment building. Let's say you buy it for $5 million. And let's say it's a 50-unit building. You want to go look for a dilapidated building and a building where they're not charging as much as they could for rent. And if you renovate the property, put new elevators in it, put new balconies on it, like anything you can do to renovate the property and increase the rent, you can increase the overall value of the property significantly. So when we're out looking at apartment buildings, we can do all this math and these calculations before we even put an offer in. So we can figure out, okay, I'm going to find this place for $5 million. And I'm going to put new balconies on all the units. And I'm going to renovate the entire common area. And I'm going to put new kitchens in each of the 50 units. And I can figure out the math on what it's going to cost. I'm going to put $2 million into the property. Now, because I put this $2 million into the property, an average rent in this building is $1,200. I can increase all the units by $300. Well, for every $100 you increase a unit, if you have 50 units or more, you're going to increase the value by about $1 million. But then we can figure out exactly what it's going to be worth because we can get an appraisal done. And we can say to the appraiser, this is what we're going to be charging for rent, and this is how much we're going to put into it. This is what we're going to renovate. And the appraiser can do an ARV appraisal, which is called after repair value appraisal. So in doing that, the appraiser comes back and says, when you're finished, this place is going to be worth $14 million. And that is not unusual. That's how that worked. So if I buy it for $5 million and I put $2 million into it, that's $7 million. Now it's worth $14 million. So when you do that, that's the lift. That $7 million in new equity that's been created is called lift. And if you're going to do something like this, once you get to that 14 million value, you go to an A bank who will always lend you up to 50%. They'll lend you the 7 million and you can pay back the guy who originally lent you the 5 million and the 2 million that you put in renovations. So now you've got an amazing deal that's making money. Well, lift is the most important word in any type of real estate investing. And that's probably the most important thing to do. All of these things that I'm about to tell you about, these 4 different ways you can make significant amounts of money in real estate, they all have to do with lift. That's the most important word. And if you want to do yourself a favor, do a YouTube search and search, how do I create lift in buildings during real estate? How do I increase the value of buildings, of real estate deals? And there's going to be tons of amazing videos on YouTube where you can learn more about that. But that's probably when I teach my students, we have this amazing community. It's called the Investors Growth Syndicate. It's one of Canada's fastest growing real estate mastermind groups. There are hundreds of members in it. And when people join the Investors Growth Syndicate, I teach them. So the stuff you're learning from me on YouTube, I have a private community where I meet with these people twice a week on private Zoom calls. They all get to ask me questions. If they're doing deals, I'll review the deals with them, and I commit every single person that ever joins the Investors Growth Syndicate, I will help you raise the money to do any real estate deal. I have a list of over 7,000 private lenders across Canada, and I've never failed helping our members to raise capital for deals. And so if you are interested in joining the Investors Growth Syndicate, I want you to type more info in the comments of this show, and I'll send you over a link where you can check out a 40-minute video that will tell you all about why you should become our newest member of the Investors Growth Syndicate. All right, let's talk about these 4 ways. 4 best ways for you to make money in Canadian real estate. Number 1, MLI Select. So for those that have never heard that term before, MLI Select is a program that is ran by the federal government. It's part of the Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, CMHC. With this whole housing crisis that we have going on, the federal government, through CMHC, started looking at more innovative ways to support people that were building lots of homes. And apartment buildings are probably the central figure around that. So CMHC came out with a program where they will lend people up to 95% of the value of doing an apartment building. Whether you're buying an old building and renovate it or you're building a new building, the federal government will lend you up to 95% of that money. And you can even borrow the other 5% to do it. And if you join the Investors Growth Syndicate, I'll get you the other 5% to do it. So if you want to create incredible wealth, you can start building apartment buildings, or you can start buying old dilapidated apartment buildings and renovate them. Now, to get to the 95% marker with MLI Select, they have rules around that. You've got to make sure that a certain percentage of your apartments in your apartment building are affordable, are considered affordable. You've got to make sure that a certain percentage of your building is considered green. So new windows, energy conservation, all of those type things. And you've got to make sure a certain amount of your building is accessible for people in need. So all of those rules apply. But the fact is, we have dozens of members of the Investors Growth Syndicate that are using the MLI Select program, and they are creating phenomenal wealth in what they're doing in real estate. The second way that you can make significant amounts of money in real estate is what my central expertise is. So I run the Investors Growth Syndicate. I am not claiming that I'm an expert in every type of real estate investing. We have a group of experts through our members that are experts in every type of real estate investing that exists. But here's what I can tell you. I am easily one of the best fundraisers in Canada, and I use the most advanced techniques. We use AI, including AI bots that call people, that do webinars. We use AI for everything, and we raise millions of dollars a month for our real estate deals. And if you join the Investors Growth Syndicate, I'm going to teach you exactly how I do that. I'll even set up the AI strategies for you. The other thing I can tell you that I'm really good at, and I'm a resident expert on, is short-term rentals. And when I say short-term rentals, I don't just mean like a cottage in the woods or an apartment downtown. Hospitality. My company is building a major network of cottage resorts and hotels right across Canada. We're opening up restaurants right across Canada, and we own the top 11 most booked short-term rentals on Airbnb right now. And what I love about short-term rentals, a great way for you to make money. How would you like to make money and have a great time at the same time? Why don't you own a cottage? Did you know you can go buy an old dilapidated cottage, a 3-season cottage, and you can borrow 100% of the money to do it? And then you can figure out what the renovations are going to cost, and you can borrow all the money to do the renovations, but lift. Remember what I said before, lift. Before you even buy the property, you can figure out what it's going to be worth in the end. So let's say you buy a 3-season cottage, you renovate it, you pay $300,000 for it, 100,000 is your renovation budget, so you're into it for $400,000. When it's finished, you get an appraisal that says it's going to be worth 800 grand. So then you buy the property with private funds. As soon as you finish the renovations, you get a credit union to give you a new first mortgage for 400 grand, and you have 400,000 in equity. That's cash you own. And then all the people that are in the syndicate that do this, when you're ready to start marketing the cottage and fill it up, I'll do that for you. I have a whole system in place where I can literally book cottages up to 95% occupancy. And if you're in the syndicate, I'm going to help you to do that. It's crazy. So we have 11 cottages that we're renting right now. We make on average $7,000 a month in profit. We make between $10,000 and $12,000 a month in gross income, less our mortgages and expenses. It's about, let's say, $6,000 a month. Because I know it's more than that, but let's say that's a minimum. So I got 11 cottages. That's $66,000 a month in income, in profit we're making just from the cottages. And I can do that for you. I can help you to do that. The next way you can make a significant amount of money in real estate investing is flipping houses. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, in this market we're in right now, house prices are going down. Flipping houses doesn't work. That's bullshit. It always works. We have dozens of people every month in the Investors Growth Syndicate that flip houses. What's a house flip? It's where you can go buy a broken down, old, dilapidated house and you renovate it and you increase the value of it and you sell it. Now, the best part about it is if you're brand new to real estate investing and you're just getting started, flipping houses is the best way for you to learn. Because when you're flipping a house, you have to figure out what's the property worth now. You have to find a good deal. You have to raise the capital, private funds to do it. You have to renovate it. You never do it yourself, but you manage the renovation. Then you have to sell it. Friends, the 4 master skills you have to learn as a real estate investor is finding undervalued properties, raising capital, increasing the lift, renovating the properties, and exiting. And exiting actually means how you disposition the property. So if you sell the property, that's an exit. But when I'm building my resorts, when they're all finished and we open them, we refinance them with major banks and we keep them. That's still considered an exit. When you're doing a house flip, let me ask you a question. Would your life be different next year if you made $100,000 more than you made this year? Yeah, I know it would. We both know it would. So flip a house. If you join the syndicate, I'll help you to find an undervalued property. I'll help you to find the money to buy the property. I'll help you to find the right people to renovate the property and help you find the right real estate agent to sell it afterwards. When you're looking at a property and you're doing the math, the key thing is to make sure that you can calculate $200,000 in lift. So let's say you buy an old house for 400 grand and it's going to cost 100,000 to renovate. And you can't even afford to make the mortgage payments while you're doing it. So you're going to borrow 50,000 as an interest reserve. So that's 450 grand. I tell people when you're flipping properties, you want to make sure there's at least 200,000 in profit. So if you're into it for 450 grand, you got to make sure the place is worth 650,000 when you're done. How do you figure that out before you buy it? Yep, you got it. It's an appraisal. You hire an appraiser that does an as-is appraisal, tells you what it's worth when you're buying it, and then you pay them an extra $500 and they'll do an ARV appraisal. You give them your budget, you tell them what you're going to renovate, you give them a really clear picture of those renovations, and then at the end, they're going to say, when this is finished, it's going to be worth 700 grand. Perfect. Because that means the lift is 250 grand. So even if the prices go down a bit in that 6 months, and you got to do the renovations in 6 months because that's least likely to see a price change, but even if it goes down a bit, it's not going to go down 250 grand. That's why our students make at least $100,000 on a flip, and it freaking works. The last way that I have seen hundreds of people making money inside of the Investors Growth Syndicate, our key expert on wholesaling is Tony Marinoff. Tony is an international expert on wholesaling, and he's our lead coach in the Investors Growth Syndicate. We have a whole training program that teaches people how to wholesale properties. Wholesaling is when you go out and you find somebody who has an old dilapidated house and it's in really bad shape and they're too embarrassed to list it on MLS. Well, you can make an offer to buy the property for them, and you put an assignment clause in your offer. And you make like a 4-month closing, so you've got enough time to offer that house at a slightly higher price than you're buying for. So let's say you find somebody in there, it's a hoarder's house, and you can buy it for $250,000. You negotiate a price, but you already know with an ARV appraisal, when it's renovated, it's going to be worth 700 grand. So you can sell it for 300 grand, and that person who buys it is still going to make a boatload of money flipping it. But here's the key part. You're going to sell it before it actually closes. It's called an assignment. You're going to assign the paper, but you're legally allowed to sell it for more. That's what wholesaling is. And we have hundreds of members of the Investors Growth Syndicate that make money wholesaling properties. So what's the moral of this story today? Moral number one, there are tons of different ways to make money in Canadian real estate investing. Any of these gurus that are telling you you need to go do it in the States, they're lying to you. They're just trying to get you to join their program. You can support your country and make this country better and do your real estate investing in Canada. Moral number two, join the Investors Growth Syndicate. We have an amazing mastermind group. If you join the syndicate, I will help you raise all the money for your real estate deals. I will do free consulting with you once you join. There is a fee to join. If you'd like to know more about the Investors Growth Syndicate, type more info in the comments and I'll give you the link to a video. It's a 40-minute video. It will tell you all about the syndicate. And once you watch that video, if you want to join, you can book a call to talk to one of my representatives and they'll get you signed up. Anyway, if you got any questions about the show today, make sure you ask them in the comments and we'll see you on the next episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast.